Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Taylor's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
Hey, everybody, welcome aboard. Glad to have you. Welcome to another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you on this Wednesday. The weather is getting better with each and every day. The sun is smiling out there today. I know here in South Central Indiana, we're going to hit a high of around 58 or 9. Much better than it was. Heading towards 71 on Saturday for the football game. Greetings, no matter where or how you're listening, whether it's on one of our great radio stations affiliates like 97.7 ESPN, the Ref, always the right call down in Evansville, up in the region, on the voice of the region. 12:30 a.m., 104.7 FM WJLB, and in Fort Wayne on Fort Wayne Sports Station. WJOB, 1380 The Fan. Keep it locked right where you have it. You've got it where you need to be. And, of course, if you're following along on social media, you know the drill. Please hit the subscribe and like buttons. It helps us out immensely as I disappear here and there. See, the college football playoff poll, the latest, is out. Not a lot of change at the top, or no change at the top. I was not expecting any. Some change there in the middle. We'll get to that. But, it doesn't really matter. It's going to change. Now, it's not going to change at the top much as far as, or on the Big Ten side. It's going to be one or the other as far as who's one and who's two. The SEC, that's still up for grabs a little bit. You've got Georgia, Alabama, Texas A&M all fighting for a spot in the SEC championship game, which in essence, to me, will lock in the second and the fourth playoff bye. The first and the third is going to go to the Big Ten. And losing in your championship game is not supposed to hurt you. And unless you just get drilled, it won't. Not in these two leagues. They've got it set up just how they want it to be, with the Big Ten and the SEC owning those top four seeds this year, although it's deserving. They're the best teams. So not a lot you can say to dispute that. Of course, Ohio State's still number 1 in that poll. Indiana number 2, A&M number 3. I think the biggest conversation was amongst Texas Tech and Ole Miss. I think part of that is because Texas Tech is like the first non-SEC Big Ten school that they're talking about. And the SEC is going pretty deep, but it still has to play out, man. There are games to be played. Everybody still has games to be played. There are some important games to be played in the SEC. So, lots going on. The Rose Bowl has filed a restraining order against UCLA to keep the Bruins from moving to SoFi Stadium. Now, there's nothing good about this for anybody, but if the Rose Bowl wins, this hurts UCLA. It hurts their ability to grow and thrive in this new age of college athletics. It hurts UCLA and its ability to thrive in the Big Ten. It's an hour away. I mean, it's just there's nothing good about them playing there. If UCLA wins, it hurts the Rose Bowl and its survivability. I get it. Both sides are like, hey, man, this kills us. We'll see how that turns out, but not good. No bueno. Travis Hunter out for the season. Got a torn LCL. He was working to becoming the first full-time two-way player in 60 years in the NFL. How crazy is that? First full-time two-way player in 60 years, and he's been playing both ways. He had 28 receptions for nearly 300 yards, and then on the other side, he's had 15 tackles, 3 pass breakups, and a fumble recovery. So he's been getting after it. He's been getting after it. JT Toppin, speaking of Texas Tech, the $4 million man. Dude's making $4 million at Texas Tech basketball. Mercy. And Indiana men's soccer looking for its 50th NCAA soccer appearance in 53 opportunities. Holy cow. Would be their 39th straight, as the NCAA will be announcing the pairings on November 17. Hoosiers currently sit number 8 in the RPI. So it's just a foregone conclusion of that happening. Last night in college basketball, some big games. Of course, the Hoosiers coming up tonight, taking on Milwaukee, but last night we had some ball games going on in the land of college basketball. Duke went to Army and they celebrated Mike Krzyzewski, so that was nice that he could be there for that. Michigan, man, did they scrape by Wake Forest in overtime. I thought Michigan, and I'm still thinking that they're going to be one of the top teams in the Big Ten, but they got by the skin of their teeth last night, 85-84. Both teams only combining to score 9 whole points in the overtime. That game was tied at 80 after regulation. BYU picks up a win. Louisville holds on to hold off Kentucky 96-88 after jumping out to a huge lead. Man, they had to hold on. As did Florida over Florida State. They were like a 17.5 point favorite or something. The Illini get a huge win over JT Toppin and Texas Tech last night. 81-77. Are the Illini the team to look out for in the Big Ten? Talked all along. I don't really know what they're going to be like because they've added all of those Eastern European players, but I'll tell you this. Don't underestimate Underwood. Brad Underwood might be the most underestimated coach in the Big Ten. Year in, year out, he does this same thing. He slaps a team together, and here comes Illinois. Last night in that Louisville game, Louisville kept Pat Kelsey hurt his finger trying to avoid the victory celebration. So he did not get through his first Kentucky win unscathed. I think that's the first time I saw that Louisville has beaten Kentucky since 2020. Man, number 18, North Carolina with a win last night. Gonzaga destroys Creighton 90-63. Arkansas picked up a win as well. Auburn, they win easy. Wisconsin and Kansas on the court last night. More games coming up tonight, of course, including your Indiana Hoosiers as they will host Milwaukee. Number 1, Houston on the board tonight, and Tennessee as well. Plenty more to talk about as Dylan Sinn, rather, is going to join us. Got my D's mixed up. Looking at the Big Ten schedule for this evening. Missouri and Minnesota will go at it, as will Oregon hosting South Dakota State. Indiana's game kicks off. I believe that's a 7 o'clock. Fox Sports 1, Minnesota, Missouri. That's on the SEC. And Oregon's on the Peacock. No, Purdue is no longer number 1. They were jumped by Houston, by the way. But I've never thought that Purdue was the number 1 team. I don't think they're a top 5 team, but they're probably top 10. We shall find out as we continue on. Lots more coming up here. Dylan Sinn should be joining us. Next up from the Journal-Gazette, once we return, right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's number 1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's number 1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday. Dylan Sinn with me now. Dylan, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good, Jim. Thanks for having me on, as always.
Always a pleasure, sir. Wouldn't be a Wednesday without you. Plenty going on. The basketball season kicking into gear. Of course, Indiana at it tonight, but coming off of a huge win on the road of sorts at a neutral site there Sunday. But lots of other basketball going on in the Big Ten with Purdue going on. They're dropped from off of the number 1 spot now. Houston moving up, but Illinois looking very good. A big win for them last night. Michigan, not so much. They squeezed by in a tough game last night. First, let's talk Purdue, man. Just they had a rough go of it, but I just don't see them as a number 1 team personally, but that maybe I'm not seeing what I need to see. But I think that others are seeing that same thing right now, that they just don't have a killer type of instinct with this team.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Painter seeing what you're seeing, right? He kind of came out after their game against Oakland. They gave up 77 points in that game, and he basically talked about how they have a lot of skill on that team. They have a lot of shooting. They have a lot of guys who can handle the ball, and those guys work incredibly hard on those skills. And he said, well, I wish we would work that hard on defense, right? And so he didn't think they were good enough defensively against Oakland. Now, again, obviously, the enormous caveat here for Purdue, at least so far, is they played those first two games without Trey Kaufman-Renn, who scored 20 points a game for them last year. Obviously, an enormous deal. And when he comes back, he will play the 4, and Jack Benner will be able to play some of the 3. He's been playing the 4 as undersized 4. Good player. I think he's a very exciting freshman for them from Brownstown. But and that will help their rebounding because they've had problems rebounding in the first couple of games here. And Kaufman-Renn will certainly help that. But I think the defensive issues are not going to be solved by the return of Trey Kaufman-Renn, who is a okay defender, but not elite at his position. And so we'll see. Obviously, this game against Alabama is going to be a huge test for them. That's tomorrow night. That should be a lot of fun. I don't think Alabama is the best team in the country either, especially on defense, where they gave up 96 points to St. John's. I know they won that game, but that was a shootout, right? And it could be a shootout with Purdue as well, because Purdue is as advertised on offense, right? Like even without Kaufman-Renn, they were terrific on offense in those first couple of games. So the question now is, do you see an improvement on defense with 5 or 6 days off after Matt Painter kind of called you out, after Fletcher Lawyer kind of called you out? He basically was like, if we're supposed to be the number 1 team, we have to be better than we were against Oakland, right? And so we'll see. I am not convinced that they are where they are the number 1 team in the country right now. I did not vote them number 1 this week. But if they beat Alabama, then then we'll talk, right? And so there is absolutely reason to be at least mildly concerned with what we saw from Purdue to start, but we won't know for sure until Kaufman-Renn comes back and until they recommit themselves to defense.
Yeah, in all fairness, we're not going to know for a long time about anything. Just like football, right, man. You've got to let this stuff play out. You've got to let these teams get through getting Trey Kaufman-Renn back, getting through Nick's. Indiana's beat up. So there's just all kinds of things. You've got to wait for all of these teams to develop. Michigan had a rough night last night, and I know that they're better than what we saw last night, but hey, man, maybe it was because of Wake Forest, not so much of Michigan, but we'll have to wait and find out what that is. But I expected a little bit more out of Michigan. But hey, those early tests are for to kind of wake you up and show you, hey, dude, you can't walk through this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and Dusty May would probably say the same thing, right? Now, one thing we can say pretty definitively about Michigan already is that their big guy, the guy from UCLA, Ade Mara, that guy is a star. That guy is a superstar. He was 18 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 blocks in their game last night. Like they lose that game pretty convincingly, if not for him. And so they brought him in as a transfer from UCLA. UCLA, it seems like, kind of gave up on him a little bit. And he is fantastic. That is a Big Ten player of the year caliber player. I'm not sure if he's going to win it, but I think he'll be there in the end in the conversation. He is ridiculous. So they have another one. They had those 2 big guys last year, and they have another one this year, and it should be a lot of fun to watch him this season.
Man, yeah, YouTube and ESPN still messing around with their little squabble. Some fans weren't able to watch the Kentucky Louisville game last night. They're going to miss Purdue Bama. Yeah, that does stink. I mean, I'm a YouTube TV guy, so it's hitting me as well. I've got other subscriptions or just I go someplace else or whatever you got to do. But yeah, that stinks, man. This thing has got to get settled, hopefully. But we're into the season. But that's what they wanted. That's what each side is waiting for the other side to give, and the only people that get hurt is the little people like you and me, man. Just the little people. Sunday up in Chicago, we were both up there to see Indiana take on Marquette.
And I'll be honest with you, Dylan, I was a little impressed with what I saw from a shorthanded, foul-troubled team, Indiana. But, of course, you're going to be impressed when your two big guys shoot 63%, or your two main guys shoot 63% from behind the three-point line and are knocking down 12 threes or more. That was a huge shooting day for this Hoosier team. But the fact that they continue to shoot free throws the way they do is a great sign. They just don't get to the free throw line as often as, say, Marquette did in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a weird game. It's we do this every season at the beginning of college basketball where the officials have certain emphasis that they want to have. They're going to call certain things
the emphasis.
Very close. Every year we do this, and then by the middle of December, the emphasis is gone, and they're calling it totally differently again. It drives me up a wall, but that's obviously what it was. They're trying to cut down on hand checking this year. That's the point of emphasis. Indiana was doing some hand checking, fair enough, and they were calling it every single time. And it made for a slog of a watch. But Indiana, as Darren DeVries said after the game, he thought they needed to adjust a little bit better, and that'll probably be a point of emphasis for them going forward. But no, I thought that it was the most impressive offensive performance that I could remember from an IU basketball team against a major conference opponent. Frankly, at least since I've been covering the team, which is now 9 years. It was just really, really good and crisp basically throughout. Obviously, like you said, the shooting helps that, right? But the stat that I saw was that, or I looked it up. IU has made double-digit three-pointers in each of its first two games.
Yeah,
right.
They've been able to do that in each of their first
did that
two games.
A combined 4 times in the last 2 seasons. Right. It's something they've done previously.
That's how much they did it all last season.
It's really impressive because they have a bunch of guys that can knock them down.
Yeah, it is amazing,
yes.
But it shows you what
yes, obviously Lamar Wilkerson and obviously Lamar Wilkerson and Tucker DeVries are great in terms of their shooting, but unfortunately, sorry about that.
That's all right. But it works out well. We saw what we thought we would see. We saw the team that we thought that we were going to see as far as style. The one thing that also showed its head to me is Reed Bailey. Reed Bailey, his time is going to be very limited. I don't know in what situation and where he's going to be needed because he's not going to be able to I don't know how much he's going to be able to help with the bigs. It's that game obviously was not for him. 3 minutes in and he hit the bench, and we didn't see him again until Sam Alexis got into a little bit of foul trouble.
Yeah, he's a valuable player. Like that was what they were able to do against Alabama A&M. They got him rolling to the rim, and he's really good at diving and finding shots around the rim. He's a great free throw shooter, which really helps. Sam Alexis is not a particularly good free throw shooter, although he made several against Marquette. But Reed Bailey, they're different types of bigs. I think that is kind of a positive with those two, is that they're different types of bigs and they do different things. And Sam Alexis was the better fit for that game against Marquette. Now, also part of it was Reed Bailey got foul trouble. He came out 3 minutes in, he already had 2 fouls because he reached in a couple of times. That's something that he's going to need to work on. I do think there's a place for him on this team. I think that he will continue to play probably 20-ish minutes a game. But I do think Alexis has really impressed me for a guy who was not a particularly big part of that Florida team last year. Obviously, it seems like he was a pretty big part emotionally, but he wasn't a big part of the on-court product. For that guy to come in and be so impressive at Indiana, it just tells you, first of all, how good that Florida team was, but second of all, some really good scouting work by Darren DeVries and his staff to realize that they had a valuable player who was just basically sitting on Florida's bench that they could bring in and make a big part of this team. So I've been really impressed by Sam Alexis, by his ability to rebound, by just the toughness he has out there. I think he's a good player, and having both him and Bailey is going to allow you to do a lot of different things with your big men, even if neither one of them is particularly big and neither one of those is a superstar, I think you're going to be able to have a lot of flexibility with both of those guys out there.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is getting healthy so they can get these guys back to support them. And of course, I'm blanking on the name, but
Nick Dorn is
Nick Dorn's one of those, but
Josh Harris also.
Josh Harris is who I was trying to think of. Definitely, so he can give Sam Alexis some help as well. But this team is really stretched thin. I mean, they basically have 8 guys, playable guys, and that's what played on Sunday. I've said this already multiple times. I was surprised that they were able to withstand the foul trouble, because they were in foul trouble from the jump, and I was like, that's going to cost them this game. There's no way they're going to be able to make it, and man, they did. I don't know how they stretched it out, but they were able to do just that amongst the 8 guys, man, because early on, I remember sending out a tweet that said 5 of Indiana's 8 usable players have 3 or more fouls already or right now. So it was going to be a difficult situation, but it was also great to see them have to be put under that kind of a squeeze and come through it. Okay. So that's the kind of pressure they're going to have to be under and get better at. And this is better for them while they are undermanned. Hey, they're working harder. So you should be better for it on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that is you're getting, this was basically a postseason rotation they had in that game, where your best players are going to play a ton of minutes because you don't have any other choice, right? You can't take them off the floor. And so I thought that was a really impressive win for them. I like you. I thought that Marquette was in the bonus 7 minutes into the game, right? And then they were in the bonus 8 minutes into the second half, right? Like it was not good. I thought they were just going to shoot 50 free throws and that would be enough to win the game. And credit to IU. First of all, they stopped fouling down the stretch. Marquette, they got within 10. IU hit a couple of threes, and then IU didn't commit a whole bunch of fouls down the stretch and let Marquette back into it. So that was pretty impressive. They adjusted their defense in the final, 10, 12 minutes of that game to put it away. And then on top of that, I thought they did a really good job of running good offense on the other end and not letting Marquette get out and not committing turnovers, not letting Marquette get out in transition and get easy baskets, because that's what so much of Marquette's offense is based around is we're going to pressure you on defense. We are going to turn you over, and we're going to get easy baskets going the other way. Indiana didn't let that happen. They made Marquette run half-court offense. They stopped fouling for the last basically 10 minutes to the same extent, and they were able to get out of there with a win that wasn't even particularly close at the end. So really impressive all the way around, frankly, especially, as you said, shorthanded. And obviously, you're not going to shoot the 3 ball that well in every game, but I thought the process to get those threes was really good. They didn't just make a bunch of spot up threes that you're not going to make very often. They made threes that were pretty wide open because they were running good sets to get them open, right? And that's how you end up with 27 assists on 33 made baskets, because you're moving the ball and sharing the ball and doing a good job of running offense. And that was the most impressive part of it to me.
Yeah, Trent Sisley really benefiting from this time as well, because he's getting a lot of extra minutes that he probably wouldn't have gotten, but he would have gotten some minutes because he's been a contributor from the jump. Obviously, a good player. I'm not sure if he's going to compete for Big Ten Freshman of the Year, but he's certainly going to be probably in the conversation with getting some minutes. But I know there are several great players out there, but like I said, he is going to benefit greatly, which means that team benefits greatly as you go down the stretch of a season, because again, that's when you can get dinged up and may have an injury here and there. You want everybody to be as indoctrinated as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been impressed with Trent Sisley basically since the first time we got to see these guys play. I've been really impressed by him. He is physically ready to go, I think, in a way that is a little bit surprising for a freshman. You don't see a ton of freshmen coming out of high school nowadays who are like, yeah, I can physically bang with these guys, and he can. He seems to have a good instinct for getting the ball in space around the rim. He knows how to use angles. He knows how to find himself open. And this IU team is going to find him when he's open, because that's one of the strengths of this team, it seems like, is finding the open man. And so Sisley has done a good job of working his way open and letting the creativity of his teammates take over and get him easy buckets. And that's a really valuable skill for a guy who's coming off the bench to have. And he was a very good three-point shooter in high school. We haven't quite seen that yet from him. That's kind of the missing piece for him to be a genuine rotation player on this team, is to shoot 35% from three. But I think it's going to come. I think he'll get there. And I think he could be a real valuable piece for this team in February and March if he keeps growing, because he does so many things. He is the what you call the glue guy, or just the guy who fills in the gaps. And he's really good at a lot of different things: shooting, passing, ball handling, rebounding, scoring around the rim, all of it. And so he's not going to be a superstar for this team, but it could be a guy who fills in a lot of different gaps. And I think you're already starting to see that a little bit.
And we'll see much more as the Big Ten season just getting underway. Indiana hosting Milwaukee tonight. When is Purdue up again?
Purdue is up tomorrow in Alabama. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that'll be a very good game to watch. But more coming up. Dylan Sinn from the Journal-Gazette with us, back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all: sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday. Glad to have you along with us. Jim Coyle, as always, and joined by Dylan Sinn from the Journal-Gazette there in Fort Wayne. The latest CFP poll out last night, and no changes at the top as we expected. The top 4 seeds remain the same from the Big Ten and the SEC, Dylan. And as I have said over and over, this is going to be barring a blowout at the Big Ten or SEC conference championship. This is going to be Big Ten at number 1, SEC at number 2, Big Ten at number 3, SEC at number 4. That, again, barring some major blowout loss, those 4 teams, the winners and losers of those 2 games, are going to take up those first 4 slots, and that's how it plays out right now. It's what's going on underneath of them, who's going to play whom, but yet still the SEC still has a little bit to be determined.
Yeah, I mean, the SEC has a ton to be determined, right? They could get as many as 5 or 6 teams in this thing, and they could get as few as 3 or 4. Right. They have, like, the Big Ten seems like they might get maybe 4 at maximum, and probably 3 only. But the SEC might get 5 or 6 because they have a lot of teams that are going to finish somewhere around 10-2, and it might be the difference between who finishes 10-2 and who finishes 9-3. Right? I've even heard 9-3 Texas could be someone the committee looks at as an entrant. I think that
Texas
would be a
is
little
into
bit
this
silly.
thing.
But
I am going to be just furious. Texas is not a top 10 team. It's the biggest joke. I am so sick and tired. I hope Texas does get in, and I hope they get beat by 80.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think they're particularly good, but they have games against Georgia and Texas A&M down the stretch of the season that they could win their way in, right? And so we'll have to see what happens with them. We have to see what happens with Vanderbilt, who has a game against Tennessee where they could win their way close to the bubble. Oklahoma has several big games, including this week against Alabama, where they could win their way into the field. And so there's a lot of SEC teams that currently are on the outside looking in, but could win their way into the field if they have a strong close to the season. So we'll have to see, because they have a lot of big games between the top teams down the stretch of the season, and that's going to be a big part in determining the last couple of teams in this field, is how the SEC does in these final weeks.
Yeah, and like you said, determining who goes where. There are relationships that are still being respected. I still think that the Big Ten winner is going to go to the Rose Bowl. There's no guarantee to that, though, right?
Yeah. No, there's not a tie-in. It's just kind of the Rose Bowl gets the certain seed number. I think is how it's supposed to work.
Well, no, they still respect the relationship, and they have that option if they so choose it. If the Rose Bowl wants the Big Ten champion, they get the Big Ten champion.
Okay, all right. I know the Rose Bowl. The one thing I know is that the Rose Bowl moved its game like an hour up this year, so that to respect the quarterfinal kind of schedule. But other than that, yeah, I did not know they still that is new to me. Is they have to respect the Rose Bowl?
No, they don't have to. They don't have to.
They can. Okay, all right, makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think they would send the Big Ten winner to the Rose Bowl. They did that last year, and that's how you ended up with Oregon, Ohio State in the Rose Bowl, and Ohio State winning with the way they did. I mean, that was exactly what the Rose Bowl wanted, right? It was kind of old school Big Ten, Pac-12, honestly. And it worked out very, very well in that way, and would love to try to do that again this year, I would assume.
But what I don't understand is, okay, I don't think the Rose Bowl is they don't have to take the Big Ten champion. They have the option, though, because of that relationship. Yeah. But there's also the proximity, geographical proximity that is trying to be used. So, but I think it is bowl relationships first, if possible. That's just why the Sugar Bowl will be the SEC champion. The SEC champion will go to the Sugar Bowl. It's not. Yeah. They're not going to the Cotton Bowl. They're going to the Sugar Bowl. The Sugar Bowl gets. I don't know why. Why does the Sugar Bowl get? Because of pre-existing relationship. So they get that over, and then the Cotton Bowl's relationship would have been with the Big 12, who will not have a team ranked high enough to worry about taking one of the top 4 seeds.
Yeah, probably not. I suppose you could kind of shove Texas Tech in there if they have a really strong finish to the season where they go 12-1. I don't think that's going to happen. They probably end up as the 5 seed to me, because they have a loss to Arizona State, who's not ranked. You get it, right? But I do think that would be interesting because the 5 seed would then play whoever's number 4, whether that be the SEC runner-up or the Big Ten runner-up in the quarterfinal, and that could be a place for the Cotton Bowl, right? Where you get a Texas team in the Cotton Bowl, and you have an SEC or Big Ten team facing them. And I'm sure the Cotton Bowl, if that ends up coming to fruition as well.
Yeah. So while it kind of appears like we know where teams may go, we don't really. It's still just a guessing game. And until these games play out more. Now, on the Big Ten side, like I said, we know which 2 teams it's going to be. That makes that part easy. That's not true either. Michigan has a shot to beat Ohio State.
and ruin their deal. Indiana would have to lose to Wisconsin and Purdue. Obviously, I'm not planning on that happening. I don't give credence to that happening. I don't have to play the coach speak game. That is not going to happen. But it is a real possibility that Ohio State could lose to Michigan. They haven't beaten them in 4 years.
Yeah, and they have to go on the road this year. It's in Ann Arbor this year. And for Michigan, that will be a playoff play-in game, right? Like if you beat Ohio State in that game, you're in the field. And if you lose, you're out.
Exactly.
Right? And so Michigan has everything on the line in that game. Ohio State is locked into the field. Now, obviously, Ohio State wants to get into the Big Ten championship game so they can win it and get a bye, right? Or probably even if they win it, if they beat Michigan, they probably clinch the bye, because even if they lose in the Big Ten championship, they would probably still get a bye. And so there's plenty of stakes in that game for Ohio State as well. It's not going to be a rest the starter situation for Ohio State if there ever was such a thing in the Michigan game, which hopefully there never is. But yeah, it is one of those things where Michigan is going to be playing for its postseason life in that game. You're playing it in Ann Arbor, and you're playing a team that hasn't lost all year. So Michigan is going to have they had a game plan for Ohio State last year. It worked very well. They outcoached them, frankly, because Ohio State was clearly the more talented team and Michigan out-schemed them. We'll see if that happens again this year. I kind of doubt it. I think Ohio State is kind of a wagon, but we'll see. I am not counting on that happening, but it is certainly a possibility that would land either Michigan in the conference championship, or if USC is able to beat Oregon as well, and USC would have the head-to-head against Michigan, and suddenly USC would be in the Big Ten championship. If USC beats Oregon and Michigan beats Ohio State, suddenly it's USC in the title game with, again, likely Indiana.
Is the Big Ten simply falling behind the SEC in football?
I mean, I think it's hard to say that, considering the top three teams in the poll are like arguably the top three teams in the country are Big Ten teams, right? Like the top two. The top. Yeah, I mean, Texas A&M is really good, but they haven't played anybody outside of Notre Dame. Oregon has played a harder schedule, and the only team they lost to is the number 2 team in the country. So Oregon is number 3 in all the metrics. Like all of the advanced metrics have Oregon at number 3. And so like the question is what you value, right? The Big Ten is better at the top, and the SEC is deeper. It's just a question of what you value, right? The best team in the country this year is likely going to be from the Big Ten, I think. But that doesn't mean that the Big Ten is the better conference top to bottom. It's just a question of what you value.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think most people, it depends on what they're achieving at the time, to be honest.
That's right.
With you.
That's right.
But the ultimate is the national championship. And so, when the SEC was winning the national championship, that was the measuring stick. So why should that change now that the Big Ten has won the last 2 and will be the odds-on favorite to win a 3rd in a row with potentially a 3rd different team, and there could be yet a 4th team that could do it next year. Who knows? I mean, Oregon. Can you imagine if you had Ohio State, Michigan, Indiana, and Oregon all win national titles? Different teams. I mean, what would the SEC say? I mean, they can say they're deeper all they want, but baby, you got a bunch of better than average teams. Congratulations.
That's right. Like, I guess it's a question of, do you want 5 or 6 teams in the playoff, or do you want the one team that's going to win the whole thing? Right? Like, that is, again, what do you value? And the Big Ten has, I think, the best teams in the country. And I do think that we'll see a Big Ten team win it this year, if I had to guess right now. Obviously, we'll get to settle that on the field. Last year was a little bit disappointing because we didn't really get to settle it on the field to a great extent. Ohio State went 2-0 against the SEC in the playoff, and no other Big Ten team got a chance against the SEC, as far as I remember. And so it was a little bit disappointing because you didn't get to see, okay, what is the second best team versus the third best team in those conferences look like, right? And so Notre Dame beat Georgia, but Notre Dame obviously is not a Big Ten team. So we'll have to see how it plays out this year, because I think you're going to get a fair amount of Big Ten SEC clashes in the playoff this year.
Yeah, I think that that's going to be very, very likely to happen this year. With even with only 3 Big Ten teams, you're going to have a minimum of 5 SEC teams, and as you said, the potential of 6 or maybe 4 to the Big Ten, because the ACC they're not guaranteed to get a team in this thing right now. Think I may have lost Dylan there, but anyway,
Yeah, like that. Yeah,
we're going to
yeah.
get this.
It's a weird
There's
situation
big
where they
lag
could have.
between us. But Dylan, I don't know why, but there's a big lag between us for some reason.
Yep, I'm working on it. I apologize for that. But yes, the ACC, there's a situation where they could have a Duke team that finishes 8-4, go to the conference championship game and have a chance to win it. It's a very weird situation for them. There are potential scenarios where you end up with a couple of G5 teams in there, where like South Florida and James Madison could get in the field. Those are pretty unlikely and leave the ACC out of the field. Those are pretty unlikely to me, but that is a possibility because the ACC has cannibalized itself to such an extent. The only team with 1 loss sitting there is Georgia Tech. And so we'll have to see how that plays out over these last couple of weeks, because Georgia Tech still has to play Georgia as well. The best team in the ACC right now might be Pitt, which plays Notre Dame this weekend. College game days there in Pittsburgh. And Pitt, I'm not sure is if we've kind of been paying attention to this, is undefeated with the current quarterback they're playing. They got this true freshman named Mason Heinchel, and they put him in after the 4th game of the season. They were 2-2, and they've won 5 in a row with him. And so we'll see how that plays out for them this weekend against Notre Dame, with Notre Dame coming to town. Notre Dame, in all likelihood, able to basically clinch a playoff spot if they win that game. So huge stakes for that one in Pittsburgh this week. We'll have to see how that plays out as well, but that could be a way for the ACC to kind of wave its banner and say, hey, we're not done yet, right?
Yeah, and it's also a play out game for the Irish if they cannot get the job done.
Yes, absolutely.
Pitt. So although we have thought that Notre Dame was going to be able to sneak their way in, which probably so, but not so fast, my friend. You lose this game and they are out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a play-in versus play-out situation for Notre Dame. Absolutely.
What else is going on for you this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be in Bloomington tonight for Indiana, Milwaukee. Looking forward to that. And then I'll be back in Bloomington on Saturday for Indiana, Wisconsin. So looking forward to that as well. A couple of trips down south from Fort Wayne this week.
Hey, Indiana and Wisconsin, the Badgers, we don't need no stinking Badgers. Haven't had the greatest of seasons. Luke Fickell, vote of confidence. He's not going to worry about it. Doesn't have to worry about losing his job. The players don't have to worry about losing their coach. Helps things. Obviously, they come away with a win out of that, a surprising win over a good Washington team. So this is a Wisconsin team that I'm not saying, hey, look out, here comes Wisconsin. It should not be the case, but you got to take them. You do have to take them one game at a time, and now pay attention to this game as it's here and do what you have to do, because you've got to continue to play at your level for a lot of other reasons. To stay away from injuries. You've got to do everything the same, because when you start doing anything with any less attentiveness to it, that's when you can put yourself into certain situations that may not be best.
Yeah, absolutely. And Wisconsin has done, like, they beat Washington last week. That's great for them. It's a great win. Even the week before that, they went and they played Oregon and made that game really ugly, right? Like, they didn't win that game to 7, but they made that game ugly. And so they'll try to make the game ugly against Indiana. And so can Indiana avoid making it ugly? Can they get up by a couple scores and just kind of sit on it, right? Don't let Wisconsin feel like in the third quarter they have a chance to win. And so if you're Indiana, go out and put this game away early. It's senior day for Indiana. It might be these guys' last home game, because if Indiana gets a bye, you're not getting the home game in the first round. And so it probably is the last home game for a lot of these guys if Indiana takes care of business. Go out there and for the guys that have changed the program, the Aiden Fishers, even Mendoza, if he decides to go to the NFL, right? Like, go out there and have a great final home game for these guys and send them off the way they deserve for the way they've changed the program over the last couple of years. That would be a great send-off for these guys to go out there with a big win over Wisconsin and see how that and get to 11-0 for the first time in program history.
Yeah, that's something that's been brought up. Don Fisher talked about it when he was on with us earlier in the week, and that Signetti's really, he wants the fans to stay in the stands, and I get it. Send this, why would you not send this group of seniors out with the greatest respect of all? I mean, they haven't lost a game in 2 seasons at Memorial Stadium. Kurt Signetti has yet to lose a home game at Memorial Stadium. It's just an amazing story that continues to stay amazing, and I expect it to do that for quite some time, man. It's the ride continues, Dylan.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, Kurt Signetti is now 21-2 in 2 seasons at Indiana. It is as good as it gets. I think I looked this up, and I don't think, as far as I can tell, there's ever been a coach who's won Coach of the Year in back-to-back like National Coach of the Year in back-to-back seasons. And Signetti could win some of these awards for a second time in a row. Like, he probably deserves it, because usually Coach of the Year is how did you do compared to expectations. Obviously, he was the runaway winner last year, but I think a lot of people thought Indiana was going to go 9-3 this year, right? They were going to take a slight step back and be good, but not great. And they just bucked all of that. And so he probably deserves it again. Like, they significantly outperformed expectations for a second year in a row. And they might go 12-0. Like, there is a clear path now for them to be 12-0 heading to the Big Ten Championship, the first 12-win season in program history, the first 11-0 start, the first 12-0 start, and a trip to Indianapolis to play for a Big Ten title. Like, that is, at Indiana, that continues to be National Coach of the Year worthy.
With the glorious history of the Big Ten, I'm sure it's happened, but we'll see with all the accolades that could be flowing. But we could see a Heisman winner, Coach of the Year winner, Big Ten winner, all in the same season. Crazy.
Wild to think about. Yeah,
man. Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette. Make sure you're giving him a follow and keeping up with all that he has going on. Appreciate you, sir.
Absolutely, Jim. Thanks for having me on, as always.
Pleasure, as always. Hey, lots more coming up. Stick around. We'll be back with more after these messages.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33. Pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you on this Wednesday, joined now by the great Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star, the man about town when it comes to high school action, and lots coming up. Kyle, how are you, sir?
Doing well. How are you, Jim?
Good, man. Enjoying this resurgence of good weather as Friday night lights will be under some good weather as opposed to the chill that we thought was going to be in the air, but all looking forward to this weekend's regional championships, man. I'm going to start it off with my Highlanders, and I just saw that they're hosting Bloomington South of all teams, man. I didn't know that.
They are. Bloomington South had quite a battle on their hands. They beat Bloomington North last week on what turned out to be a last-second field goal, or final minute of the game there. Got down and made a chip shot, but they had quite a battle on their hands with North, and Floyd Central just keeps on. It keeps on trucking, man. It's a good team this year, and they had no trouble. Well, they had some trouble with Evansville North. Didn't have a lot of yards or points in that game, but that's a really good Evansville North team that they beat. And to get into this round, obviously you're going to see some really good teams, and certainly that was one of them. But able to get through that one, and now the winner of this game probably gets the right to play New Pal. So
Congratulations.
Not a great prize, but and I will say East Central's a really good team as well. And I think playing at home, they'll give New Pal everything they've got. I just don't think after watching New Pal last week in Cathedral, man, that was talk about an environment, man, and just a great night of football. Those two teams battled, and it was kind of a defensive struggle, and New Pal won at 20-15. But man, it's hard to believe one of those two teams had to go home. But Cathedral, very good performance, especially on the defensive side. But both those defenses were excellent. I can't imagine many teams scoring too many points on New Pal.
Yeah, I mean, that's New Pal, and New Pal has been a constant in the conversation of football and for some time now. Just a year in, year out program that you're going to be expecting to have to contend with, and yet here they are back again. And yeah, it's not a great winning prize for either Floyd or South, but hey. To each, and you never know. It's why they play the games. It's why there's so many great games that are coming. This is is this the weekend where you just have the most great games?
I would say that between last week and this week, I mean, I say that, and then we'll have great games in all of these rounds upcoming, just because the teams, for the most part, the teams get better and better. In 5A, I'm not sure that's the case because, we may have seen the state championship already, but for the most part, I'd say this week and last week are in those sectional championship games. Westfield beating Carmel in overtime. I mean, you can't ask for much better games than that. The New Pal Cathedral game. I mean, you had just a lot of really good matchups in the sectional championship games. A lot of those are rivalries that maybe rematches of the season, or teams that know each other pretty well. This round is too, to a slightly lesser extent. The teams get a little bit more spread out, as you get into the regional round. But a lot of these teams know each other, are familiar. New Pal and East Central played 2 years ago in the semi-state. You have some teams that, like Merrillville, Michigan City, that typically play each other quite a bit, or, and there's some weird ones too, like Fort Wayne Dwenger plays Lebanon. I mean, that's not a game you'll ever see. So you do get a little bit more spread out and see some different type matchups. But also I think the intrigue of not knowing, can Cascade go to Lawrenceburg and win? I mean, that's, that'll be fascinating to see, what happens there. Lawrenceburg has a lot of tradition. Cascade doesn't have much, and but I've seen this Cascade team play. I think they're as good as, about anybody in 3A. And then if they can win, they would get to possibly play Gibson Southern next week in another huge game. So, it's going to be a fun night of games. And, in Decatur Central Brownsburg, those two teams, they used to play each other back in the day every year. They were in the same conference for a long time, but since 1993, they haven't played at all. So that's another one where it's kind of a different type matchup. And it's also two defending champs. Brownsburg won 6A, Decatur won 5A. and now they play each other in the 6A regionals. So, and then, there, like I said, there's some, some team like Fishers Westfield, they play every year. Obviously, they're in the same conference. Warren Central, Center Grove, I mean, they play in the season. They're back to being MIC rivals, and also they play each other in the regional. It seems like every single year. So, so you do have some familiarity, and then some, like I said, that are a little bit more unusual type matchups, I'd say.
Yeah, we've got the possibility of a record-breaking into this season, as well as the kid from Knox High School. What's it, Miles? What's his name? Miles
McLaughlin.
Yeah, he is closing in on Derrick Henry's unbreakable rushing record. There are some records we think of just unbreakable. That's one of them, but wow. And not only that is it going to get broken, but it's going to get broken potentially by a quarterback. Yeah. That is what I'm like, wait, what?
I know.
That still boggles my mind.
I had somebody ask me this week, like, he plays quarterback? Like, yeah. I mean, I didn't, going up and watching, I went up there earlier this year and watched practice, and I see how they run their offense. And, he's a quarterback in name, but, he's basically a running back, playing quarterback. He's getting the snaps, so he is a quarterback. But
yeah, he's getting the touches, baby.
Yeah, and he's running a lot. So it's very cool. I mean, honestly, if they, he could actually break the single season national record this week. And I forget how many he has to get, a lot, but he gets a lot every week, it seems like. And they play Angola, which is a 7-5 team. You would think Knox should win that game, but but they're 12-0, but at the same time, they have not been a team that's made it to the state championship before. So, this will be interesting to see if they can break through. They won a regional a couple of years ago. So they have done that before, but yeah, he's got a chance. I think it's probably going to be in the state championship if he does break the all-time record, which would honestly, that'd be a lot of fun to see that in the state title environment. And, if he can make it there. Now, I will say, like, next week, if they do beat Angola, they'll have to beat Lures or Twin Lakes. And both those teams are really good. Lures, they are not a team that's probably going to, I don't know if he can run for 300 something yards against Lures. I don't know. I mean, maybe he can. But Lures typically, no matter what, they're kind of one of those teams like Cathedral where their record is not indicative of how talented they are. So they're 7-5. And I think that Twin Lakes game will be tough, but I kind of think Lures will win, and they'll play Knox next week if Knox wins. But I don't know. Maybe they slow him down. I don't know. We'll see. But the fact that he's in that conversation and getting even Derrick Henry talking about him, pretty awesome thing for Indiana high school football.
Yeah, Derrick Henry says, "Go break it, man." That's what he told Kay Adams on the Up and Adams show this week. Records are meant to be broken. I've had it for 10 plus years, man. Go get it. Go break the record. I hope you win the state championship with it. Exactly. Can you imagine? First of all, the sheer fact that you're going to break an unbreakable record by this dude, but to have him talking about you, he's still, I think of him and I get scared. I would not have if I played defensive back when I was a senior, and I'm like, holy crap. If you would have seen this guy coming at you, I'm not going to lie. I would have, something.
That's where you pull a hamstring, or
I guarantee
pull up lame. That's what you got to do. I'll be honest, man. I was down there on the field for the New Pal Cathedral game on Friday. Walking the sideline, covering the game, and the hitting going on. I was like, man, I can't believe I played this sport at one time. Not at their level, but it's like, man, the hitting going on at that age. It'd be good to be 18 again. I'll say that. But yeah, and I'll credit to McLaughlin. I know some people sort of dismiss him a little bit because it's a smaller school, but I'm saying, man, if you can carry that much and not get hurt and still stay on track and lead your team, not only. It's not like they're 3-7. I mean, they're 12-0 and winning. So it's not like this is just like he's doing this for no reason. I mean, they're winning games with him running for a lot of yards, and you would think playing quarterback that, you could stop him somehow and make him give it up. But no one's really figured that out to this point. So I know there's some, negativity sometimes when kids break these records or, carry the ball like he does. But man, I'd say, tip your hat to him. I mean, he's from Knox. It's not like he's came in from some other school. I mean, his family's from there. His dad played at Knox. I think it's something to be proud of. What he's been doing these last, not only this year, but throughout his whole career.
Exactly. What is his recruiting look like? What's the type of schools are looking at him?
He's got some smaller D1s looking at him. I know when I talked to him, he was like, gosh, I don't want to get it wrong. I know he was going to South Dakota this past weekend. He had some of the smaller, FCS and I want to say Central Michigan. One of the Michigans he went up to, I think it was Central. So he's got, some MAC interest, some, and obviously a lot of schools lower than that as well. So it's kind of a situation where, he might play defensive back too at the next level. He's not going to play quarterback, obviously, but he would play running back or defensive back, depending on, what school he ends up going to. He may go to a smaller school, a lower below D1, but I think he's got a chance to play D1 or at least start there and see what he can do.
Yeah, those guys, they're always athletic. It doesn't matter. May not always play that position, but you can tell those guys, they have the skills to be able to play the sport, period. Heritage Hills, are the Fighting Santa Clauses still going?
They are, man. They're in one of our local teams, Martinsville, makes the long journey down to Santa Claus on Friday. And in Martinsville, 6-6, they have not had the season they had last year, but like you said earlier, you're still playing this round. You're a pretty good team, and but I think Heritage Hills, they're different, and I think we could see Heritage Hills Roncalli next week, which would be awesome. I think that could be that will definitely determine who goes to Lucas Oil, but might determine who wins it. 4A is normally loaded on the south side of the bracket, and I think that's probably the case. Again, this year, I think one of those two teams, if you look at who's left, one of those two teams is probably the team to beat. Although I will say Dwenger is playing like it's early 1980s, shutting teams out and winning low-scoring games and, running the ball and then playing defense. So they might be a team. And, of course, Dwenger has a lot of history too. So I would give them a fighting chance as well if they make it to the state finals. But I'm not sure. Heritage Hills and Roncalli have a lot more diversity on offense, and we know about Roncalli's history. Heritage Hills has been really good, including last year. So a lot of these players they have on this year's team played on last year's 3A champion, including Jet Goldsberry, who's going to Ole Miss, plays quarterback, and kind of like McLaughlin, he's not a quarterback in college, but he's a defensive back and does pretty much everything for Heritage Hills. He punts, returns kicks, plays defense, plays quarterback. So he's definitely a Mr. Football candidate too. I'm curious how Mr. Football comes out now with McLaughlin breaking these, or being in the mix for these national records and things like that. He wasn't really a guy that I thought about much coming in, but now that he's done all this, and if they make it to state, I mean, he's got to be right at the top of that list.
How are you going to take it away, not give it to a guy that even comes close to breaking Derrick Henry's record?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious what position they put him at. Do they put him at quarterback for Mr. Football? Or is he a defensive? You could slide him into defensive back too, but you also have Goldsberry. Goldsberry deserves to be very much part of this discussion, in my opinion, as well. His numbers and winning and all the things he's done. I think he was kind of my pick going into the year that I thought he would win it. If Heritage Hills can make it back, and even having the season they have now, even if they lose, I don't think they'll lose to Martinsville, but if they lost next week, I think his resume would still stack up pretty high. But yeah, McLaughlin, if they make it to state, there's going to be a lot of buzz about him, and especially if he's on the cusp of breaking that record. I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out.
Yeah, crazy, man. And then, of course, you've got the big boys
the culmination of 6A coming together, which is always fun. You've got Center Grove and Warren Central going at it. Decatur Central, Brownsburg still alive. And of course, on the other side of the bracket, Fishers and Westfield. This is like a heavyweight fight. Carroll and Penn. This is like heavyweight fights in 4 quarters of the state, man.
Yeah, I love 6A. It's going to be fun. I'm going to go to the Brownsburg Decatur game. Like I said, it's not a rematch, but a battle of 2 teams that won last year at Lucas Oil on back-to-back nights to win state titles, Brownsburg and Decatur. I think Brownsburg is just the hard part for Decatur. You know, they are a school that's not nearly as big as Brownsburg, so your overall depth in, I would say, line play will be. I'll be curious if Decatur can hold up against Brownsburg's lines. I think that is where the difference from, being a 6A team and a really strong 6A team to a 5A could show up the most. Because I think Decatur's got the speed and the athletes to match up, but I don't know if they've got the, just the physical nature. And Decatur did play. They played some. They played Avon in overtime earlier this year. An Avon team that, gave Brownsburg trouble in the first meeting, not so much last week, and then lost to New Pal after the next week. Unfortunately, Decatur had lost their quarterback that game, so that was a little bit of a different type of matchup. But I'm fascinated by that one. Honestly, Fishers Westfield too is right at the top. I think that, those 2 teams play during the season, so this is a rematch game of a close game earlier this year. But Fishers did not have the running back in that game, and they'll have him back this week. So. It's in Fishers. This kind of could feel like the team 15 years ago, the 2010 team. Fishers kind of came out of nowhere and ended up winning state. It's the only time that we even won a regional, and they went on and won state that year. So this could be some magic from that 15 year ago anniversary team. So Carroll Penn is also Carroll Penn. I think will be a great game. Penn beat Crown Point last week, and they've got some talented players. I don't know how Carroll does too. I think that'll be a toss-up coin flip type of game. And then those 2, whoever wins that would play the Fishers Westfield winner. So, and Westfield riding high. I mean, they beat Carmel last week, and Westfield's got to be probably the pick to win the north side of that bracket again. They did it last year and have a lot of tradition now built up over the last several years. But I don't count out those other 3 teams. Fishers knows them well. But yeah, I'd probably pick Fishers or I pick Westfield and Brownsburg. Could be a rematch in the state championship game again.
Yeah, it's just going to be fun, man. It always is. But I love looking at these teams and these matchups and thinking about Martinsville. So did they enter the playoffs 3-6? Yeah,
Martinsville. I mean, they benefit, their schedule or their sectional is not, they in even the first game against Greenwood, they barely beat Greenwood, which is, is not a great, Greenwood's kind of a one-man team, and they finished 2-8, but Martinsville barely got past them. And then they beat Charlestown, and then they reversed, B&L beat them handily in the first game of the year, and they reversed that completely in the sectional championship. So, and they would admit, Brian Duggar, their coach, would probably admit they benefit from a relatively easier sectional, but they're not going to apologize for it. It's one of those things. Their team last year was very good. I mean, they were a team I thought could make it to the state championship game. They were loaded. Well, I say that they ran into New Pal in the semi-state and lost pretty handily, but they beat Wrights in the regional last year. They won 12 games last year. This team not as overall as talented as that one, but they do have a lot of offensive weapons, and they can put up points on you. I don't think this is a tall task for them to beat Heritage Hills. I doubt that happens. It might not be even that close of a game, but yeah, I mean, you're playing the game. That's the thing, is you're going out there and snapping the ball against Heritage Hills, and you get a chance, if you're doing that, you get a chance to go out there and pull the upset.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun ride because we've got a few weeks of this before we get to the ultimate championship round on that beautiful Thanksgiving weekend, man. Appreciate you, Kyle. Make sure you're giving Kyle a follow and keep it up because he's got it. Man, he's going to be a busy man this weekend.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Jim.
Thank you, buddy. Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Plenty more coming up, man. Stick around. We're back with it right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday. Glad to have you along for the ride. Make sure you're giving us a follow and doing all that good stuff. And keep it up with everything that's going on tonight in Indiana. Hosting Milwaukee on the basketball court as they go for 3-0 to start the Darren DeVries era. And that should not be a problem. But as soon as you say that, you look around and you see plenty of teams have plenty of problems at unopportune times. So you got to take every game as serious. And serious, just games that you wouldn't expect could be troublesome. Those are the ones you got to look out for. Nights that you may not have the shooting that you normally have, or this team is going to run into nights where the cylinders just aren't firing as far as the shooting and whatever happens. It's going to be interesting to see how they can handle that adversity, because it's going to happen, and you would hope that it actually happens sooner rather than later, so you have an understanding of how to deal with it and how they're going to deal with it. Indiana's not the only team on the dais tonight on the schedule. There are plenty of more getting underway. Oh my gosh, and I guess we've got to get this. Maybe we'll wait till Big Ten season starts for the pick'ems on the basketball side of things. I don't know. Too much going on right now. How about on the football side? We'll talk about that in a little bit, but man, you guys are doing a great job over there. There's just been change at the top. Not me. I missed 2 weeks, so that left me out. But I know that whoever's leading it, I remember thinking I need to get them to place bets for me, because they have a very, very good record of doing so. But let's see, tonight, games in the Big Ten alone, there's only 3, I believe. Yeah, Indiana hosting Milwaukee. Missouri hosts Minnesota. That's at 8 o'clock. And then later on at 9:30, Oregon is hosting South Dakota State. So nothing big
The Minnesota-Missouri game may be something to watch. We'll see. But other than that, in the remainders on the SEC side, what their schedule looks like, well, they're not popping up for me. Man, they're slow. There it is. Tennessee, number 20, Tennessee. They're hosting North Florida, South Carolina Presbyterian, Vanderbilt, Eastern Kentucky, Missouri, Minnesota is mentioned, in Texas. Farley Dickinson. Nothing of great there. I was amazed at the great games last night, all on the same night. It's crazy. You had Kentucky and Louisville. You had the Illinois game that was a top matchup with Texas Tech and JT Toppin. And hey, Illinois, impressive. They've got the Eastern bloc of Eastern European players. It's going to be interesting to see who comes out of the Big Ten. None of us knows. Michigan State, of course, is up there. Michigan's going to be up there. Purdue, Illinois. I think those are your top 4 teams. Easily. UCLA lost a good player to Michigan. Illinois lost a good player to Michigan. Yeah, Robert says usually that Louisville and Kentucky game is a December affair. Yeah, not only that, that's an old-fashioned mid-December Saturday afternoon CBS game, and I don't know what happened with that. Kind of like the Indiana-Louisville game is going to be. The Indiana-Kentucky game. There you go. Brian says 74-36 is his record. He's got a system. Well, if that's all against the spread, I'm all in. I want you to start making some bet. Well, yeah, you got a 2-point lead because of the points. There's the point system in our pick'ems. It's kind of cool. That's what I like about it, man. It mixes things up, makes it unique. But then this weekend, some big football games as well. Like I said, we talked about in the SEC, they've got games to determine what's going to go on. South Carolina goes to Texas A&M. Arkansas is at LSU. Tennessee Tech is at Kentucky. So Kentucky is going to play Tennessee Tech, and they still have Louisville yet to play, right? Yeah. Non-con games at the end of the year. It's weird. Oklahoma at Alabama this Saturday. Oklahoma is held on. I've got to give it to them. They went through the injuries to their quarterback. And still was able, they're right outside of the top 10 at the moment. Pretty remarkable. Now, they've got a chance to really muck up the deal if they can upset Alabama, where the Crimson Tide are only a 5.5-point favorite at home. Alabama needs this to stay up into the hunt for the SEC championship, which will keep them in the hunt for one of the top 4 buys. But Oklahoma could really change that around. Florida goes to Ole Miss. Ole Miss just has to hold serve. They're a 15.5-point favorite. Texas at Georgia. Georgia's only a 5.5-point favorite. I just am not buying Texas. Texas might get a little lead in the first half, and then Georgia's going to come swearing back in the second half. It's what they do. Mississippi State is at Missouri. That's not much of a consequence there, I don't believe. But the Texas and Georgia, Oklahoma, Alabama games, huge this weekend. If Texas loses to Georgia, are they finally out of this conversation? I'm not sure they are. People are going to try to keep them in it no matter what. You've got some ACC teams that are having to fight to get back into the conversation because the ACC is potentially on the outside right now. But boy, Texas is on that fence. But they need to be given a loss because if they win, they're definitely going to be in the CFP, and Georgia is not going to get knocked out. They may get knocked out of the top 4 bye, but they're not going to get knocked out of the CFP. And so there's how you get another SEC team in. Could be the SEC Invitational. That wouldn't be bad to see the Big Ten win the SEC Invitational, though, would it? I believe Georgia is going to win that game. I'll give up the points and take Georgia straight up in that game. I just don't believe in Texas. Ole Miss, I'm not sure I expect them to win that game. I'm not sure if Florida has if they're still fighting to get someplace. Or if they lost the team. Oklahoma, Alabama is going to be a fun game to watch. That's a 3:30 game. I'll be able to watch at least the second part of that. So we'll have a better indication of who's going to go where, but still won't have it all yet, although I guess some of these teams still have 3 games to play. Some have 2, like Indiana. Indiana has a bye week coming up still. After their home game with Wisconsin on Saturday, they're off for 2 weeks before heading to West Lafayette to finish their season against the Boilers. Indiana potentially looking at their first 12-0 season. Now, would Purdue love anything more than to put an end to that? We'll, of course, be talking about that in 2 weeks, but I mean, rivalries do things, people. They played pretty well against Michigan. Not bad. Jason says Indiana fans are trying to take over the stadium. I'm not sure which stadium you're talking about, man. West Lafayette. Yeah. That will be something. It will be I'm assuming it'll be a pretty good presence up there, but that's a few weeks away. We'll talk about that when it's time to talk about that. But man, there's going to be some big time determining games this weekend. And then you've got the other leagues like the Big 12 who have some good teams that are fighting. Texas Tech, they're at number 6 right now, so they're pretty much locked in. BYU is one of those teams, though. Yeah, not so much. Will they have a rematch at the Big 12 championship game? If they do, Texas Tech is just a better team. I think that after looking pretty solid all year. I think that does the Big 12 only end up getting one team in? Or do they get two in? I think that they might end up with two in. We'll go ahead and take us a break. When we come back, Zach Browning from thehoosier.com will join us. Indiana on the basketball court tonight and on the gridiron this weekend, as well as the rest of the Big Ten schedule. Back with plenty more after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday. Glad to have you along, as always, and joined by Zach Browning from thehoosier.com. And Indiana football continues to roll as the latest CFP poll out. Of course, Indiana remains at their #2 spot. No movement at the top. We didn't expect any movement there amongst the top 5 teams. It's the movement down below that we're keeping an eye on to see who might play whom. But still some stuff to be determined, but that happens after these games are played. Zach, for Indiana, it's business as usual as they look forward to getting to 11-0 for the second season in a row. And just crazy to say that, but that train continues. And Indiana should have an easy path to doing that. But Wisconsin, coming off of a big win over Wisconsin or Washington, which has been one of the better offensive teams in the Big Ten this year.
Yeah, this Wisconsin team is weird. I mean, they're not good, Jim. Let's call it how it is. Yes, they did just beat Wisconsin, or did just beat Washington. That game was really, really weird. I'm sure everybody's seen it. The leader in passing yards in that game for Wisconsin wasn't a quarterback. It was their punter. So Wisconsin's got some things going on with the quarterback position right now. Billy Edwards, the Maryland transfer, was supposed to be the starter this year. If anybody from the Indianapolis area knows Danny O'Neal from Cathedral, he was the backup quarterback when Billy Edwards went hurt. Danny O'Neal got hurt this past weekend, so they relied on a true freshman, Carter Smith. They have 2 quarterbacks healthy right now. One is Carter Smith, one is Hunter Simons, and Simons is, I think, a 5th year, and they don't trust him at all. So they've been rocking with Carter Smith. So I'm not quite sure who's going to start at quarterback for Wisconsin this weekend. But the running game hasn't been great. Whoever's been at quarterback, they haven't had a ton of talent in the receiving core to get the ball to. The defense has really kept them from getting completely blown out in every game they've played. Their defense has been good.
Zach's having an issue with some sound there. We'll have to see if he can go out and come back in and maybe correct that, but we don't want to put you through that any more than we have to. So hopefully he can rejoin us in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, telling it like it is, Wisconsin, not exactly the toughest of matchups. They are coming off of a win, though, over Washington. I'm not sure how they managed to do that. They haven't had their quarterback for most of the year. Their quarterback that they got in the transfer portal came from Maryland, and Billy Joe Edwards, but got hurt in the first game of the season. Zach Browning rejoins us, and hopefully we've got that issue taken care of. And just talking about the fact that the quarterback that Luke Fickell brought in the portal came from Maryland, Billy Joe Edwards Jr., but he was hurt like the first game of the year, and he had gone without him so it's just been an uphill battle for the Badgers all season.
Yeah, Wisconsin has used 4 different quarterbacks. I hope the audio quality is a little bit better than it was just a second ago. But 4 different quarterbacks, it's been a struggle for them. The defense is really where this team hasn't been good. I don't want to say good, but has been better than the offense at least. So the defense is where Wisconsin is at their best. Granted, they're playing an Indiana offense at home who was held in check for the most part, especially in that second half against Penn State. So I imagine Chris Magnetti, I imagine Mike Shanahan and the Indiana offense going to want to make a statement probably against the Wisconsin defense that while they've been good, yes, that's been the strength of their team. They're without their stud linebacker. They're potentially without their stud safety. So we'll see what the health looks like for that Badger defense going into Saturday.
And not that he needs to do anything more after last weekend, but Fernando Mendoza's numbers per se have not been lighting the charts up. His actions have been, but now maybe this is an opportunity to put up some Heisman Mendoza type numbers to go along with his campaign. Not his campaign, I don't mean it that way, but the Heisman campaign that he's locked into.
Yeah, it's weird because you look at Indiana's schedule, Wisconsin and Purdue, obviously some great opportunity for Mendoza to put up some numbers. You look at perhaps his biggest competitors with Julian Sayin and Ty Simpson. Julian Sayin's still going to have opportunities to put up numbers against not great teams. Obviously, Michigan, the last game of the regular season, we'll see how they fare against that. But Ty Simpson, they've got another bye game because of the SEC and the conference scheduling and 8 games and whatnot that they're changing next year. But they've still got Eastern Illinois, so still an opportunity for Ty Simpson to kind of, I don't want to say stat pad, but that's essentially what it is. So we'll see what Fernando Mendoza does. I'm assuming he's probably only going to play 3 quarters against Wisconsin and only 3 quarters against Purdue, assuming the scoreline is out of hand, as I think we all expect it to be. So we'll see over the next 6 quarters what he's really able to do, because his numbers on paper stack up, if not aren't better than the rest of the candidates. Marcel Reed doesn't have the numbers as the rest of the 3 candidates. He's the Texas A&M quarterback. Ty Simpson is kind of third fiddle as far as the statistics are concerned compared to Sayin and compared to Mendoza. Mendoza's got the touchdown advantage. He's got some more rushing stats as well. Simpson kind of has the yard advantage and has the completion percentage advantage over Mendoza. So we'll see what kind of happens down the stretch. But you're exactly right, Jim. If you're comparing actual Heisman moments, Julian Sayin hasn't really had an equal. He hasn't really had the opportunity to, given the schedule of Ohio State. You look at Ty Simpson, he's been good in games. He's gone on the road and won big games. He's beaten Georgia, but he hasn't necessarily led a game-winning drive in any of those moments. Fernando Mendoza has done that now 3 times, all on the road, all against teams that the College Football Playoff Selection Committee believes are top 25 teams. So it's interesting to see how that will go down. I do still believe, even after Penn State, the Big Ten championship, the SEC championship, the conference championship weekend will still decide who ultimately wins the Heisman.
Yeah, votes are due right after those championships are completed. And while it has no bearing per se on the Heisman vote, I assure you all Heisman voters saw the poll that was conducted, I believe, by ESPN amongst NFL personnel of who would be if they were coming out today, who is the quarterback you would take. And it was a resounding win by Fernando Mendoza as being the guy they would take as their quarterback.
Yeah, that's the difference in Saturday for me against Penn State. I'm not sure Fernando Mendoza clinched the Heisman or did anything like that. He certainly helped his case against Penn State. But if there was something that Mendoza clinched, if there was something that he kind of solidified himself as on Saturday on the road against Penn State with that game-winning drive, it was perhaps, maybe not even the number one pick, but perhaps the number one quarterback taken in this year's draft. There will be a debate on if he's the number one pick versus some edge rushers, some defensive players, and whatnot. But he did, I think, solidify himself as the number one quarterback taken at next year's draft. He has all the tools, the physical tools. He's 6'5", 230. He's got the functional speed. I mean, he scored the first touchdown with his legs now in back-to-back weeks for Indiana. And I think it's really just the stones and the guts that he showed and continues to show with these game-winning drives. I think that more translates to the NFL and being a top pick than it does so the Heisman race at this point right now. He still could win the Heisman race, obviously, but I think if you're pointing to that Penn State game and what that Penn State game did for Mendoza specifically, I lean towards it more clinched, him being the number one pick or the number one quarterback taken off the board rather than the actual Heisman favorite at this point.
Yeah, Fernando seems to eat pressure for breakfast and laugh at it. He literally does. In his post-game TV interviews, he is laughing and having fun, and I imagine he might be like that in the huddles, looking at his teammates and laughing and going, guys, we're going to go down there and score a touchdown. This is going to be awesome. I can see him doing that, but that's the kind of confidence that just spreads and has the effect that it has had for this Indiana Hoosier football team, as they have become a team that is never out of it. You can never turn your back on that team. You can never give them a crack. You cannot crack a door open because they will stick their foot right through it.
Yeah, that was probably Indiana's worst half of the season, that second half against Penn State, and they still found a way to win on the road in front of 80, 90,000, however many were in Beaver Stadium on Saturday, in one of the toughest road environments against a team while struggling still has plenty of NFL talent and plenty of elite college talent on it. So I think that's pretty telling. And you talk about the confidence, it is contagious. You know, Fernando Mendoza walks out there with the confidence in his team that helps the offensive line maybe hold that block for an extra second. It helps Charlie Becker come down with his second acrobatic catch of the ball game. It helps Riley Nowakowski out to sea make the catch. It helps Omar Cooper make perhaps the greatest catch any of us have ever seen. So I do think that confidence is contagious. And I think what Mendoza has done, this is just year one with Indiana. He's played 10 football games with Indiana football as a Hoosier. Yet everybody on the team, whether it's Aiden Fisher, he talked about it post-game, whether it's Elijah Hardy, he's talked about it post-game, about the confidence they have in Fernando Mendoza. Carson Nettie has talked about it. Carson Nettie has been coaching in some aspect in college football for over 30 years. And he said on Monday that Fernando still never ceases to amaze me. And I think that's pretty telling. The season that Indiana's having and the kind of dramatics that Fernando Mendoza has shown a knack for creating and being able to conquer so far this season.
Yeah, he is certainly something, without question. And this weekend marks senior day at the at Memorial Stadium, Merchants Bank Field. And there's no reason that Indiana fans should not sit there for all four quarters and salute this team that has gone unbeaten in the last two seasons at Memorial Stadium. So hopefully they get that recognition paid to them by the fans, as they will be putting on the cream and crimson at home for the last time.
Yeah, this will be the last home game of the season, you would imagine. Indiana's probably at this point too good to get a first-round game at home in the college football playoffs. So obviously they'll play Purdue on the road. Big Ten Championship is a neutral site game in Lucas Oil up north, and then they're going to have a bye in the first round. So most likely, at least, assuming they win these last two games of the season. So yeah, this will be the last game until 2026 for Indiana at home.
Zach Browning from thehoosier.com. Make sure you're giving him a follow. Go there and get subscribed now. for all of the action that you can keep up with. And I'm telling you, there's more than you can read there with all the national content as well. It is an abundance. Appreciate you, sir.
Thanks so much for having me as always, Jim.
You betcha. Zach Browning joining us here on the program. Always a fan. Sinn Mikowski will be at guard this week. Jason says he's the offensive line moving around. They've got guys dinged up. Khalil Benson's been dinged up since I know he was limping around when I was out at the Maryland game since then. And then the game against, it's just that time of year. They're looking, they need to get to this bye week, rest up, and get healed up. You go into that Purdue game, and then you go right into the conference championship game the week after that. So it keeps on rolling, but it's going to be a fun one. Man, what is that December 6th day going to be like in Indianapolis? Holy smokes. Indiana and Ohio State going for the Big Ten championship at night, as long as Ohio State handles Michigan in their last game of the season, which I expected they will, but I have expected they would for the last 2 years, to be honest with you. We'll see how that rolls for them. But I expect that's going to be how it turns out. We'll have to wait and find out. But we can all do that, can't we? Yeah, why not? So basketball tonight, Simon Scott Assembly Hall, as the Indiana Hoosiers host Milwaukee. Purdue back at it tomorrow night as they'll get back after it. And Indiana looking for their third win of the season. They've played pretty well so far. Another opportunity for them to get some minutes under their belt, but they're still going to be shorthanded and going after another win. More minutes for guys like Trent Sisley as they wait. Josiah Miles, he played well. Had his hand wrapped, but had one heck of a shot that he made during that cortisone shot. Yeah, it's cortisone shot time for a lot of people. No doubt about that for certain. But, man, it is going to continue to be a fun season, whether we're talking football or basketball. It's always going to be fun as we continue out the rest of this year. Bigfoot time, or thank you time for everybody that joined today, the Dylan Sinn, Kyle Neddenriep, Zach Browning, most importantly, each and every one of you. Without you, we've got no reason to be here. But we're back again tomorrow. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.